You found yourself on another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United. On today's episode, the 76ers and Cavs put on a show, but the 76ers beat the Cavs to snap a 9-game winning streak for Cleveland, and a young bull by the name of I.O. lead the Chicago Bulls to a big bounce-back win over the Atlanta Hawks. We got a lot to talk about right here on Let 'em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, you know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls post-game reaction podcast. And I am your host, Tyler Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. You can find this show, which is absolutely completely free and available, on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. If you are watching Let 'em Know Kings United on my YouTube channel, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it. Hit subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you are listening to this show on Spotify, Radio Public, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to this show, if you can be so kind to give the show a follow on those platforms, if you can please turn on that notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and please give Let 'em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. It is an amazing way to support the podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Well, you can't win them all, right? I hate to use the old cliche to start out the show, but you can't win them all. The Cleveland Cavaliers lost a very tough, a very hard-fought basketball game to the Philadelphia 76ers, who look completely different with the addition of Buddy Hield by the final score of 123 to 121. Now, before I even get into it, I was watching the film session guy on YouTube. He is awesome. All right, he is really, really awesome. He does a really good job of breaking down basketball film. He is a defensive-minded type of guy, and he did a couple videos. His name is Film Session. He changed his name to Awful Coaching. I think as of last night I looked at it, but you can find his channel on YouTube. Search Awful Coaching or Film Session, whatever you want to call it. And he called J.B. Bickerstaff a very bad coach after last night's loss. This, to me, is a loss that I'm not going to overreact, okay? I'm not mistaking the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers lost this game, and it was a very tough loss against a Philadelphia 76er team that I thought played their hearts out, and so did the Cavs. It was a hard-fought game. It was a well-played game on both sides. I thought this was a very even matchup coming into this game, so I was really, really excited for this matchup, regardless of what the records were coming in. But overall, it was a hard-fought, a very well-played game for both sides. Listen, Buddy Hield is an absolute monster, okay? We know this man from the Sacramento days, and he used to come from Indiana. He was traded to Philadelphia from the Indiana Pacers not too long ago via the trade deadline, and he is just a straight-up monster with 24 points. You also got to give credit to Kelly Oubre, who had a monster game of itself with 24 points. The Cavs nearly rallied from a 10-point deficit in this game with in the final 1 minute and 25 seconds. They went on an 11-3 run down the stretch, but ultimately Darius Garland missed a three-pointer from the right corner as the Cavaliers fell just short. Tyrese Maxey, he is an all-star for a reason. He added 22 points as the Sixers won for just the third time in 11 games. Maxey split a pair of free throws in the final seconds, giving Cleveland the last possession to extend its longest winning streak since it had LeBron James in 2018. Donovan Mitchell, who led the Cleveland Cavaliers in 36 points, drove the lane and had a contested layup blocked by Kelly Oubre. I think that was the biggest difference of this game. You know what? I'm not mistaking the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers lost this game. And I know after the game, Donovan Mitchell said, and I quote, "I don't mean to say this in a harsh way, but we kind of deserve to lose this game just based on how we started. We came out as if they were going to lay it down and let us just continue to do what we do." Donovan Mitchell, in my eyes, based on me reading this, assumed that this was going to be one of those easy games. It was going to be one of those easy games because, remember, there's no Joel Embiid for Philadelphia. He's probably going to be out for Lord knows how long. So Donovan Mitchell, in that moment, I guess assumed that it was going to be one of those nights where Philadelphia was going to lay it down and the Cavaliers were going to continue to roll. Ultimately, it was not the case because Buddy Hield came out shooting. Kelly Oubre came out shooting. Paul Reed was a defensive difference maker. Buddy Hield, again, he's been knocking down threes for most of his career, and that same energy continued for Philadelphia last night. Cleveland battled back. The Cavs, who had won 17 of 18 coming in, were still within 7 at one point when Oubre drained a three. This is a loss where at one point, I'm like, okay, we know that the Cleveland Cavaliers can't win every single game. They have a team that is capable of doing it, but ultimately in the sports world, you can't win them all. But at the same time, for Donovan Mitchell to say that the Cavs deserved to lose this game, I think that's a little over the line for me. I think that's out of line given the fact that the Cavaliers are one of the hottest teams in the NBA, if not the entire Eastern Conference. Now, granted, I don't like how Cleveland started the game. I thought Cleveland was disrespectful to start, and at times we couldn't get into a run because we, I think, did a terrible job of locking in defensively. I thought we did a terrible job of staying connected defensively. I thought Philadelphia did a good job of breaking us down at one point. And I thought that at the end of the day, despite the fact that Donovan Mitchell was doing his thing, despite Jared Allen and Evan Mobley having another double-double respectively, and I'm going to break those down in just a second, I thought at the end of the day, the inability to get on a run and stretch a lead that Cleveland had at one point was a big, big difference in this game. So, for Donovan Mitchell to say that we deserve to lose, to some extent, he's right. To some extent, he's right because the Cavaliers, I thought, did a bad job of locking in and staying connected on the defensive end of the floor. But at the same time, though, I'm not overreacting, okay? I'm not overreacting. The Cavaliers have won 17 of 19. We're one of the hottest teams in basketball. We're one of the best teams in basketball. We're still playing our best brand of basketball going into the All-Star break. So you know what? I'm going to call this just a bad night in the office. just a bad night in the office for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs winning streak was the club's longest since a 13-gamer in 2017 when LeBron James led them to their fourth NBA Finals appearance before leaving the second time as a free agent. Mitchell said, "This is nothing to overreact and get upset at. I think the biggest thing is just coming out with the right mentality. We hadn't done that in months. It's okay to have a bump on the radar, a blip on the radar, but for us, it's continuing to sustain that and not getting bored with success." I love Donovan Mitchell's perspective here. I love Donovan Mitchell's perspective because blimps on a wall, some days you're going to have tough games. Some days you're going to have tough games. It happens. It happens to every team in the NBA, including the Cleveland Cavaliers. But at the same time, I think Cleveland, come the next game against Chicago, they need to do a better job of locking in defensively because we know that Chicago is one of the worst teams in the NBA in the defensive end of the floor. We know that Chicago has guards that don't know or don't have a freaking clue on how to rebound. Actually, quite frankly, the Bulls do a terrible job of gang rebounding. So if you're Cleveland, you're looking at this game against the Bulls as in a chance to respond, a chance to finish the first half of the season strong, go into the All-Star break, watch Donovan Mitchell do his damn thing, and then come back after the All-Star break looking like the best team in basketball. So if I'm Cleveland, yes, it's a loss, but don't overreact. Don't get upset about it, and don't get your panties in a bunch, so to speak, okay? It was a hard-fought game. It was a really competitive game against two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, but at the end of the day, the inability to lock in defensively for Cleveland and the inability to get on a sustainable run on offense costed us this game. But other than that, I'm not that upset about this loss, okay? I'm not that upset. Yes, it's a tough loss, but it's not a loss where I'm like, the Cavaliers disrespected the game. We overlooked Philadelphia. We got what we deserve, yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying that. What I am saying was, this is a loss that it happens, okay? The Cavaliers are a team that have the ability to learn from these losses because I know in my heart of hearts that these kinds of losses are going to make Cleveland better at the end of the day. It was a tough loss, but I believe this was a good loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not overreacting because I think Cleveland can sustain their consistent best play in basketball right now, despite the tough loss. Despite that, the Cleveland Cavaliers shot 47% from the field. Philadelphia, 54% from the field, 42% from three for Philly, 35% from three for Cleveland. The rebounds, Cleveland had the slight advantage, 43-42. The assist numbers were 33 for Cleveland, 25 for Philadelphia. So the Cavs, once again, do an amazing job of sharing the basketball. They continue to be the most selfless team in the NBA right now. The fast break points were 13-12 in favor of Cleveland. Both teams had 58 points in the paint. Both teams had 11 turnovers. The Cavs had 8 blocks on the night compared to 4 for Philadelphia, but the steals 6-5 in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So on paper, this was a closer game than anybody would expect it. It would have been close either way with Joel Embiid on the floor. So I'm not that surprised that this score line of 123-121 was close because I knew it was going to be a close game on paper. Tyrese Maxey continued to show why he's an all-star for Philadelphia. He finished with 22 points, shooting 9 of 21 for the field with 4 rebounds, 9 assists on the night. Buddy Hield and Kelly Oubre Jr. had 24 points respectively. Kelly Oubre was 2 of 3 from three-point range with 3 rebounds, an assist, and 2 steals. And he also had the game-saving block, I believe, when he blocked Donovan Mitchell's potential go-ahead layup. Buddy Hield finished 5 of 8 from three-point range with 8 rebounds and with 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Off the bench, Cameron Payne did really well with 15 points, shooting 40% from the field. Paul Reed was a big difference maker with 13 points in 29 minutes. He also had 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on the night. As far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell leads all scorers with 36. He was 9 of 20 for the field with 6 assists, 3 steals, and 4 rebounds. Jared Allen with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, another double-double for him. Evan Mobley, 14 points. He also had 4 big-time blocks, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Great game for Evan Mobley. Max Strus finished with 10 points in 30 minutes, shooting 4 of 7 for the field, 2 of 5 from three-point range. And Karis LeVert, he continues to be a spark plug off the bench with 11 points. Yes, this is a loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is a tough loss considering that the Philadelphia 76ers, that's a good team over there. Okay? This is a good loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers that I'm not going to overreact about. This happens. This happens to any team in the league. Any team in the league. That's a good Philadelphia team that the Cleveland Cavaliers battled. So if I'm a Cleveland Cavalier fan, I'm going to keep my head up. Because yes, this is a tough loss, but I'm not going to overreact. The Cavaliers are going to learn from this, and they're going to continue to get better. Coming up next, speaking of the Bulls, one of the young Bulls leads Chicago to a big bounce-back victory in Atlanta. I'm going to tell you who it is when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United. Sorry for the dramatic, energetic intro to this segment, but I gotta do it because Ayo Dosunmu was the freaking man last night for the Chicago Bulls as the Bulls get a big, major bounce-back dub over the Atlanta Hawks, 136-126 on a night where Ayo Dosunmu had a career-high 29 points and 7 assists. And, by the way, the Chicago Bulls posted a season-high in points for the season. First and foremost, can I just talk about the defense for the Chicago Bulls? They stepped the living hell up in this game. Torrey Craig, who made it into the starting lineup in place of Alex Caruso, who injured his foot last game against Orlando. I didn't see what happened. I didn't know what happened. I think somebody stepped on it. But when Casey Johnson, the Bulls insider, which, by the way, I love the Bulls like reporting team. I love the Bulls like broadcasters. Adam Amin and Stacey King are freaking awesome. They make me have fun watching the game of basketball all over again every night, despite the fact the Bulls sometimes piss me the hell off. They piss me the hell off sometimes. But you know what? It's wins like this that I just love them. One game I love them, one game I hate them. It's a love-and-hate relationship when it comes to the Bulls, all right? But I love the city of Chicago. It's kind of like my virtual long-distance hometown, and I especially am in love with the United Center, okay? But back to the Bulls. Torrey Craig made this big play where he grabbed the ball with DeJounte Murray, okay, which should have been a jump ball, but he is so great defensively that he forced DeJounte Murray to deflect the ball, and the Chicago Bulls got an extra possession. Amazing defense by Torrey Craig. I love that Torrey Craig stepped up and grabbed a rebound, grabbed a couple of big-time rebounds. Javon Carter, maybe the biggest play of the Bulls season, when he forced an 8-second violation on Trae Young, of all people. On Trae Young. All-star replacement, Trae Young. Ice, Trae Young from Atlanta. You know that number 11 who shoots the balls from the logo? that's got a cheat code? Apparently, Javon Carter solved that cheat code and proved that Trae Young is an absolute fraudulent all-star along with Scotty Barnes from Toronto, but I'm not going to go there. I am not going to go there. But tonight was about Dosunmu. He had a career high of 29 points in this game, and I loved the fact that every time he got the ball, he pushed the pace. That was the biggest thing that impressed me, besides the fact that the Bulls stepped up on defense, which, by the way, got better as the game went on. We had a slow start on both ends of this game, but as the game went on, I thought the Bulls got better. As the game went on. I thought, especially in the second half, we turned it up on both ends of the floor. But what I love about Ayo Dosunmu is he pushed the pace. And coming into this game, I said to myself, this Atlanta team is the number 4 offense scoring-wise in the NBA. That's okay. But they are a terrible, or I shouldn't say terrible when it comes to Atlanta's defense. I would give them a little bit of respect and call it an average defensive team where they struggle setting up their defense in transition. So when we get the ball on the rebound, we had to push the pace. We had to push the pace and force Atlanta to work. And credit to the Bulls and credit to Ayo Dosunmu because he pushed the pace and the Bulls got shots at times where Atlanta couldn't really set up their defense. I love the fact that they moved the ball really well. I thought, again, the rebounding was amazing, especially in the second half. This was a huge win. Huge win for the Bulls. Huge win because the Bulls now continue to lead the Hawks for the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. The win kept Chicago 2 games in front of the Hawks. We won the season series. So if there's a tiebreaker for the potential 9th seed in the Eastern Conference, I believe that Chicago has one of those tiebreakers, beating Atlanta 2-0 in the season series. But we got an opportunity to sweep Atlanta, but that's not until the end of the year. But back to Ayo Dosunmu. Billy Donovan had a lot to say about Ayo Dosunmu, but he said, we didn't start the game great, but Ayo's pace and tempo in that second quarter really got us back into the game. He was downhill. Whether it was him knocking down some threes or getting to the rim, he did a lot of good things last night. Dosunmu said, we didn't want to make it a shootout, but we wanted to play fast. Even when we scored, they got it out fast. We wanted to go blow for blow with them. We wanted to do our best and guard on defense. But the way the game was going, both teams were scoring, and then we got some big, meaningful stops down the stretch. Dosunmu was 12 of 18 from the field and 5 of 7 from 3. He continually created havoc for the Atlanta defense, which drives to the basket that created opportunities for himself and his teammates. As far as the Atlanta Hawks, the Hawks had won 6 of their last 8 games coming in, but they allowed the Bulls to shoot 55% from the floor and 46% for three-point range to slow their momentum as the All-Star break approaches. The Bulls have been averaging 111 points per game entering the contest. So coming in, the Bulls have been improving as far as scoring. They have been improving. Quinn Snyder said, we had a lot of late switches. We all have to be better at guarding the ball. The crazy thing was the Bulls trailed most of the first half, but closed the second quarter on a 12-2 run to take a 1-point lead. Dosunmu had 8 points during the run as Chicago scored on 5 straight possessions. There was a lot of positivity for the Bulls, but more specifically, Ayo Dosunmu, tonight is your night, big man. Probably one of the best games that I've seen this man play as a Chicago Bull. DeMar DeRozan did his thing with 29 points. Vooch had another double-double with 24 and 11. He's starting to improve for me. He's starting to improve. I'm talking about Vucevic. But Vooch, can you do me a favor? Can you please, for the living life of every member of Let 'Em Know Nation, can you stop shooting threes? Okay? Your game is either in a two-man game with Kobe or DeMar, getting into the mid-range and getting in the paint. You're shooting 20% from three, somewhere in that range. Just stick with the mid-range game, stick going into the paint, and when you do that, good things happen. All right? I don't know if Andre Drummond in the lineup with you is going to help you realize that, but my God, after the All-Star break, I don't want to see any more threes coming out of Nikola Vucevic's hand. All right? Now, another thing that I'm going to give credit to the Chicago Bulls for, we did a really good job of containing Trae Young and DeJounte Murray for the most part. Trae Young finished this game with 19 points. What exposed the Bulls in this game was they couldn't really contain their bench scoring. Atlanta got more production from the bench more than the Chicago Bulls, mostly because DeAndre Hunter finished the game with 23 points, and Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's a sniper, okay? He is a three-point sniper. He finished the game with 28 points off the bench. But Trae Young was 2 for 10 from three-point range in this game. And I mentioned before how Trae Young is just a killer from three. He's made some crazy from the logo shots of his career. And the Bulls were like, we gonna let him shoot. We gonna let him shoot because he's struggling from three right now. And you know what? I just love it. I just love the fact when a young Bull leads the way to the Bulls getting a bounce-back victory. Now, this win makes us 2 games below 500 once again. But we got an opportunity to go to Cleveland and upset one of the hottest teams in the league. But based on what I talked about in the previous segment, how the Cleveland Cavaliers had a very tough loss against Philly, I expect Cleveland to come out with intensity. I expect Cleveland to come out with energy. If the Bulls match that, we might be in for something special. But Chicago did a really good job shooting the ball in this game. They shot 55% from the field, 46% from three-point range. The Hawks, 47% from the field, 33% for three-point range. Rebounds, 49-43 in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. The assists, 33-29 Hawks. The blocks were 6-4 Bulls. The steals were 6-4 Bulls, I'm sorry. The blocks were 3-2 Atlanta. The turnovers, I thought the Bulls did a better job of taking care of the basketball. They valued a whole lot of possessions. They only turned the ball over 6 times, while Atlanta pulled 12. Fast break points were the main difference in this game, 21-7 in favor of Atlanta, but that's their identity. They love to get out fast in transition, but the Bulls once again dominated in the paint, 68-56. The fast break points, though, were one of the major factors in the game for the Atlanta Hawks. Ayo Dosunmu, he's the man of the hour. 29 points, 5 of 7 from 3, 12 of 18 from the field, 7 assists, a steal and a block, and 2 rebounds. Hell of a day. That's a hell of a day for Ayo. Kobe White, his legs are getting tired. Even though he had 20 points, he's leading the NBA in minutes. That's not good. That's not good. I know if you're a Kobe White fan, that might be like, oh, that's good he's leading in minutes. That's not good. That's not good, because in the second half of the season where the intensity is going to level up a little bit, I'm concerned that Kobe White might get a little tired as the season wears on. But he finished with 20 points, 8 of 17 for the field with 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. Vooch had another double-double with 24 points and 11 boards. He also had 2 assists and a steal on the night. Torrey Craig was a force to be reckoned with on the defensive end. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and a steal. DeMar DeRozan, 29 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 10 to 17 for the field. Off the bench, Javon Carter was huge, 11 points, 2 assists, and a steal, and an 8-second violation that's not in the stat sheet. Andre Drummond was a beast on the boards. He grabbed 11 rebounds on the night and finished with 7 big-time points. We limited DeJounte Murray with 17 points, 2 of 8 from 3, 7 of 17 for the field. He also had 9 assists and 5 rebounds. Trae Young had 19 points, 3 of 14 from the field with 14 assists and 3 rebounds. Bogey led the Hawks in scoring with 28, 6 of 10 from 3. Hunter with 23 points, 4 of 7 from 3. But this was a good win for the Bulls. This was a big, good win for the Bulls that keeps the Bulls within their 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. We need to be better against Cleveland, because Cleveland's going to come out with energy after their tough loss. But this was a good win for Chicago. And Ayo Dosunmu, you have every right to celebrate tonight, my man. You deserve it. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this podcast, or on YouTube. If you are watching this video on my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review. I am your host, Scarlett Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.